What did a crush do that made you immediately lose interest? He would steal people's tips off the bar counter when we were at a bar together with friends. Then he would offer to buy me food with it. No thank you. Played hard to get. No thanks. If you're gonna ghost me for days at a time and then get pissed off when I don't respond in 0.5 seconds, then that's not my problem. She told me that spanking her teenage daughter didn't work, because it wasn't satisfying enough. Edit a bit of context. This was long ago, and far away, in a European country. The mother was a statuesque blonde divorcee, and the daughter was about 14, and headed for trouble. Corporal punishment was de rigueur at the time, both here and in Europe. I decided that the situation was hopeless, and noped out of there ASAP. The daughter hated her mother, big surprise, and went on to get pregnant and force her mother to raise the child. I came back to the States and still consider myself lucky to have dodged that bullet. A woman I was talking to was recently divorced and had moved back in with her parents. She already had a child and a couple pets and was talking about getting another pet, and her parents told her no. She chose to go ahead and get another pet anyhow, and basically her parents began pushing her out the door. And it was a stressful situation for her, and I suggested she talk to her folks. However, once she told me she was grown and made her own decisions and did not care about their rules, I suddenly understood and quickly lost interest. She told me her future plans to essentially become a gold digger like her mother. When I laughed it off, she couldn't see what I thought was so funny. Cute girl in 9th grade. There was a party over at her house, out in the country. Had a big ol' crush on her. So she says they raised chinchillas. Okay, everyone wants to see the fuzzy critters. There were about 100 of them. The ammonia smell was unreal. So there's a platform with battery cables on it, and I asked what that was for. She said, "Here, I'll show you. Have some ready to go anyway." She grabbed a little fuzzy critter, clamped the cables on it and threw the switch. Without missing a beat, killed that critter. It was bizarre that a teenage girl could electrocute an animal that easily. No more crush. I was actually afraid of her a little after that. It kind of sucked the life out of the party, to say the least. Ask me to be their wingman because they had a crush on my best friend. Oof. Same thing happened to me. Then when I moved on, he started being sexually inappropriate and bullied me, only when my best friend and my boyfriend weren't around. To this day I don't know why I was ever attracted to someone like that. Edit. Since a few people have been confused, I'll clarify. I was single while into this guy, then I moved on and got a boyfriend while he was with my best friend. He then kept harassing me. Gave me a 5-minute lecture on conditions where cheating is okay. Got so drunk at a party that she shit herself. The smell is really what did it. He talked about how he wanted to loosen up some boring family at a wedding reception, so he spiked their drinks with party drugs. Did you go on a date with Bill Ponderosa? Made fun of my smile. Edit. Thank you everyone for all of the kind comments. Everyone's smile is beautiful because it shows that you are happy. Thank you for my first silver. And my first gold. Smiley face. This, and making fun of somebody's laugh are two of the most f***ed up things that a person can do. It serves no purpose except to make someone feel self-conscious every time they are enjoying themselves. For context, him 6'4", built dude, me 5'0", non-built lady. We were hanging out at his house when he jokingly blocked my way when it was time for me to go and wouldn't let me pass. I asked him to let me by. When he wouldn't, I told him I was uncomfortable and he called me a crazy bitch. That was the end of that for me. I was casually dating a 19-year-old guy when I was 18. He seemed totally normal until I met him at his house before a date and his mom asked him to take the garbage out before we left. He threw a fit that would embarrass most 3-year-olds, including crying, yelling at his mom, and punching the floor. I pretended that my parents were calling and needed me to come home, blocked his number, and never saw him again. I like to think that mom knew he'd do that and was trying to save you the trouble. She generalized everyone. She was also such a bitch to everyone that she didn't understand. He plays video games. Wow, when do you think he'll move out of his mother's basement? Wow, she wears so much makeup, can you imagine what she's hiding under that face? Just such a mean-spirited person, and it completely turned me off. 2 days after our first date, she showed up at my work with a pan of homemade lasagna, an ice cream making machine for my kids, and all kinds of groceries. I was a single dad at the time, and I guess it was some sort of care package for me. I also work about 2 HRS from where she lives. When I said she didn't have to do that, she started to cry. Bit of a red flag. Had a harmless crush on a married friend that I did not signal or act on, ever. I've been the spurned wife before. I kept my distance and did everything short of unfriending him on Facebook. He slid on into my DMs right after my separation became public knowledge, and he found out I was no longer married. He was still married to his wife, with a baby on the way. I didn't respond. They are divorced now. She's a really lovely person and deserves so much better. Called me a sexist for pointing out that she was improperly, and dangerously, using a power saw. I mean, I get that a lot of guys probably talk down to women using tools, but for f***'s sake, she was so close to losing a hand or worse. I ran into an old crush a few years back who told me he was into dog baiting. The candle had blown out a long time ago as far as my crush was concerned, but that pretty much killed any intention I had of trying to restart our friendship.